Welcome back to the Shred the Spread podcast. This is the NFC South divisional preview, just the third preview of our divisional previews. I'm your host, Jared, but before we get into it, let me bring on my co-host, my right-hand man, my dude. I know, welcome back, man.
Yeah, what's going on, my guy? Glad to be back again for another episode. I'm a little under the weather right now, so bear with me. Everybody, bear with me. A little bit under the weather, just some mucus and stuff going on. But as far as I'm concerned, I feel great. I'm ready to dive into this NFC South, knock it out the park. Not really one of the most interesting divisions in the season. I'm not gonna lie, but end of the day, there is some talking points we can kind of point to, and hopefully we can guide you guys in the right direction.
Blue Game, Dine Easy, live in the cut as we are starting this recording. The Eagles in the preseason are playing the Patriots, and they just picked Jacoby Brissett off in the end zone. Shout out to the Birds, but that's never here nor there. We are here for the NFC South. A lot has kind of changed in this division. Obviously, quarterback. The Falcons had a crazy draft pick. The Panthers, let's see if they bounce back. The Buccaneers, are they going to get better? Are they going to get worse? And then we have the Saints. You ready, Donnell? You ready to get right into it?
Yeah, come on, let's go.
Let's do it.
All right, here we go. So in all likelihood, Deshaun Jackson's going to at least get a return. Deshaun Jackson gets a block. Are you kidding? Way downtown. Oh, what a shot from Curry. That is a disgusting act by Randy Moss.
Leading us off, the Atlanta Falcons. Awkward quarterback situation, to say the least. I'd say everybody besides Johnny Manziel was surprised when Michael Penix went to the Falcons. Kirk Cousins' camp wasn't really too fond of it. Then they came back saying they support it, yada, 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 doing his due diligence. We don't necessarily know what we're getting from a return from injury Achilles Kirk Cousins. We know he's not the most mobile guy standing in the pocket. I did look up some of his tape and stuff. Apparently he's not doing too much work pushing off of his back foot. He's ginger, apparently. That doesn't matter to me because I'm not necessarily on this Falcons team. There's no value, to be honest. Like, ever since Kirk Cousins came over, and we know this division is weak. I think this is the least combined win total out of every division. I think they have the lowest expected win total. This could be a pitch here. We know Kirk Cousins love his tight ends. They did just pick up Judon and Justin Simmons. I was really going to, hash on the defense, but I'm going to give them a break here. I'm not going to go too in depth on it because we do have, obviously, Justin Simmons, one of the best safeties. And then we have Judon, who, he could be in the running for leading sacks or he could be MIA. It just kind of depends on what he does year to year. So I'm not going to hash on the defense too much, but this is a big opportunity for both Drake London and Kyle Pitts to show their emergence in this offense, especially Kyle Pitts, because we know what TJ Hawkinson looked like. What are you thinking the Falcons do here this year?
Honestly, I see the Falcons maybe teeter-totter with the Bucs for the division, but honestly, the fact that they got the easiest schedule in the NFL, I think what we got here, one of the easiest schedules in the NFL. Like you said, you add Kirk Cousins, so that definitely adds value for Kyle Pitts, and I expect a breakout year for Kyle Pitts. This is no more excuses now, all right? The potential talks got to stop. Drake London, Kyle Pitts, it's time to show up now that you got Kirk Cousins beside there. Even if he's not going to be here to start out, Michael Penix is there. Now, granted, Michael Penix, drafted. He's like, 25, 26? I don't know how old he is. He's an older quarterback. But he can definitely sling the rock a little bit. Now, he's nowhere near Kirk Cousins, the Kirk Cousins production. But maybe he can kind of be that bridge until Kirk Cousins gets back. I'm assuming that's what their plan is. But I'm not going to lie to you. I am very, very encouraged by this defense. Like I said, the signings of Justin Simmons and the trade for Matthew Judon is huge. They can get pressure on the quarterbacks now, kind of stop that run a little bit. And Raheem Morris taking over. I think that's kind of the big thing people kind of sleep on. He is the head coach, and we get it. He had a head coach stint where he wasn't too good. Let's be honest. But on top of that, like I said, this defense getting after the quarterback and this defense finally stopping the run a little bit is going to be kind of the main questions here. Can they produce? Honestly, this may be a runaway only because the division's weak and this has probably got the easiest schedule in the NFL. You got rid of Arthur Smith, so you automatically got better. And in additions like Darnell Mooney and Ray McLeod as your wide receivers, kind of take over that number 3 spot. So I mean, they got options, they got weapons, they have great defensive help over the past 2 days. So we'll see. I was never huge on the Falcons, but now since Raheem Morris is in charge, now I kind of expect them to win the division this year. Not put my money on it. This loss of flux, but I got them winning the division.
I mean, yeah, they should win the division. They're the favorite. Their win total at 9.5 seems crazy to me. Especially heavily juiced to the over 9.5. I don't think there's a there's a chance that we would go out of our way to put money on that. Divisional odds, I mean, they're favored slightly, but just no value there. Just a little foreshadowing. There is a team that I like a little bit more on the value, a little bit more of a long shot. I think you guys will be surprised, but maybe I know Donnell won't be surprised because it all is going to come full circle.
Yeah.
Let's move on. Let's not spend too much more time on the Falcons. Okay, so the Falcons are minus 125 to win the division. Who was the second? The Buccaneers. So we go to the Buccaneers. We got Baker Mayfield coming off an incredible stint, beat the Eagles. I mean, in the playoffs, that team was on all cylinders at the end of the season.
Yeah.
There's not really much that I can hate on besides I expect some regression. I've got them at 8 wins. The book hung 9.5, and I played the under. It kind of got hammered. I think it went down to 7.5.
Yeah, it's at 7.5 right now.
So it's at 7.5, but the books hung 9.5. So this is where I'm kind of not understanding. I guess sitting at 9.5, like I just don't understand what the book was doing. Like someone had to have got fired. Whoever put that line up there had to have gotten fired because that just doesn't make sense to me. I mean, I had 8 wins generously, but it got hammered down to 7.5, rightfully so. I've got them at 8 wins, so there's not too much value. I'm not touching divisional odds. There's no value there, but I am expecting some regression. I mean, you still have Godwin and Mike Evans, and more than likely, Mike Evans is going to get another 1,000-yard season. Baker Mayfield's getting more comfortable. He's finally having an opportunity to be consistent. I mean, he's lacked that his last few years of his career. I kind of like the Bucs, but like I said, they're like mediocre to me. So I'm not touching any of their besides the win total that I bet at 9.5. I mean, if you guys see a 9.5 anywhere, I'd hammer the under, but regardless, there's nothing here that I like.
No, and I agree with you, bro. I agree with you. Honestly, for the rest of this division, it's kind of up for grabs. It's kind of tough to really tell. The biggest thing with the Buccaneers is they got the 50 schedule, so that helps. But who is your third receiver outside of Godwin and Mike Evans? Now, it might not seem as important until one of them goes down with injuries. They've been injured, riddled for the last 3 seasons. Granted, kudos for them winning the division. Your division was soft, and they did click on all cylinders towards the end of the year. But you lose some veteran leadership on the defensive side and Shaq Barrett, Devin White. You just lost Carlton Davis as well at the corner position.
Yeah, that's huge.
So yeah, that's huge. And granted, yes, you replaced him with Bryce Hall, average. He's a good plug-in guy, not like a huge difference maker compared to Carlton Davis is. You got Randy Gregory to kind of help on the outside with pressure. Then we're going to replace Shaq Barrett. So I get that you made some complimentary moves to kind of fit in, but I don't think it's not going to be enough to put you over the hump again and win a division again. Like I said, Ryan Jensen's gone. But other than Ryan Jensen, like I said, I will give them this. They have a great line. They signed Tristan Wirfs back, got him going. Luke Gadecki got the left side going. So they got some good pieces on offense. I just feel like they're not going to be as explosive as they were last year. And I honestly, like I said, I expect some regression from Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield threw for 4,044 yards.
Yeah,
so
that's unreal.
That's unreal. So I expected to kind of dial back. Maybe the schedule rank might help them get that, that 9th win that you need. But to be honest with you, I don't see it. This is once again under. Like I said, basically I agree with Jared. If you get a 9.5, slam the under. There's no need for it.
Yeah, we might not see that again. Rightfully so. Rashad White is your lead back. Mike Evans, Chris Godwin. I mean, they have Trey Palmer. I think they got Sterling Shepard.
Injury prone.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. This whole Godwin, Shepard, what's Otten? I mean,
Kate Otten. Yeah,
they're lacking. They're lacking skill at these positions. So they got some speed, but it's really gonna. I mean, Mike Evans is gonna have to carry per usual another heavy load. So Dino and I, nothing we like here, but we'll move on to the Saints, and we'll just address the elephant in the room as the head coach. I mean, that guy, I think he's the worst or second worst coach against the spread. The guy, how he has a job, I don't know. Yeah. This Saints front office is, I mean, probably one of the most abysmal jobs I've ever seen. They back their books up for years to come. I mean, they owe people money and they just keep tacking it on and tacking it on. And then they're just diminishing their current ability to sign and re-sign players. And that's why we just see the Saints are just they're the epitome of mediocrity. I did sprinkle a little bit on the worst record of 17-1. Definitely taking the under 7.5 wins. It's plus money still. I don't know how. This team can't close out games. We saw Dennis Allen single-handedly lose them 2 games last year. I mean, there's an opportunity that the Saints could have had 10 or 11 wins last year, and they finished that bad. Like, the head coach, believe it or not, is the reason why this team is kind of becoming irrelevant. And until they do something about that, they will never be in a discussion for me for overs. They will never be in a discussion for divisional odds. And I mean, I've got them sitting bottom of the division. We're not trying to get too ahead of myself, but I mean, I like the Panthers a lot better than them, and it's not close. So, I mean, I know you hate the Saints, but I'll let you relieve relieve the steam here.
I mean, come on, guys. What are we talking about here? Let's go back to Dionysi's dungeon. Let's go with the first coach who's honestly, literally, he's in the back of the dungeon.
I think the first handcuffs down there has his initials engraved in them.
Yeah, you know what's crazy is I don't know how his residency inside the dungeon lasted this long. I mean, shit. I mean, it's been 3. I've been talking about this every year since the first time I started this podcast. I've talked about this time and time again. What the hell is Dennis Allen doing? Absolutely nothing. Like, I don't understand why that's still a thing. The GM right now is just as bad. You have aging stars. Like right now, all your stars are aging. DeMario Davis, Cameron Jordan. Those are all guys in the mid 30s on the way to high 30s. And then on top of that, like what do we have here? Let me figure this out. Alvin Kamara, what's going on with that? I feel like I understand what the problem was. I feel like there's a certain point once Sean Payton left and Dennis Allen became the guy in charge. Right around that range is where I feel like they were content with the roster. And it was like, yeah, we'll get it next year. We got hit by injuries. We got hit by injuries. Now they're in a fucking conundrum now as it is. The only good thing working for the Saints is that cornerback talent. Marshawn Lattimore. You just drafted the young boy in the draft. I can't think of his name right now, so I'm just going to keep it clear. But other than that, dude, Jamal Williams, didn't you sign him last year? What did he do? Absolutely nothing. It's like you and then Derek Carr. Don't get me started with Derek Carr. And I actually believed in Derek Carr for a little bit. I can't do that no more. All I can say is the only way this Saints team can even touch 500, I mean just above 500, is if their new offensive coordinator, Clint Kubiak. He was the coach. I believe he's the offensive coordinator for the 49ers, I believe. So hopefully he can throw some genius in there to kind of help this team and alleviate some of that pressure off of Derek Carr. But I don't see it. This roster construction's ass. And you're right. I actually think I might like the Panthers more than the fucking Saints now.
Yeah, I think you're getting a steal and a lot of value playing Saints to potentially have the worst record. I mean, their odds just don't make sense to me at all. Divisional, nothing. And how do you forget about the man Kool-Aid McKinstry, dog?
Yeah, bro. Don't even get me started. Now you're right. Kool-Aid McKinstry out of Alabama. Bama, Alabama. Yeah. We get it.
So yeah, they've got some individual talent, but collectively, they might be one of the worst run franchise in the league right now. And that's saying a lot. We're not going to spend too much time beating a dead horse. Let's go to the Panthers. Come on now. Y'all already know I was every week to week, if you look at the books, you're probably like, there's like 9 bets on the Panthers this week. Like there's like 1 million bets against the Panthers. There's like 9 bets on the Panthers. I probably had 3 or 4 of them. Not going to lie, but, this is going to be an interesting, so just hear me out. This division is awful.
Yep.
Any game is a toss up, even the Falcons. The Panthers have the 10th easiest strength of schedule in the league. I'm throwing a little bit on them at divisional odds of 11-1. It sounds crazy, but let's just say Kirk just doesn't have it. Okay. The Buccaneers, we already are expecting regression, and the Saints, I'm counting them out already. So, I mean, we're a coin flip away of being, fighting for the number 1 or fighting for the top of this division. And I think there's a different vibe in the Panthers camp this year. Yeah, I know that video of Bryce Young was trending. It looks like he was like going to his first day of school because he's so small. But like, what I won't take away from the guy is his his ability to understand the game. He is smart. Like one of the biggest takeaways that Bama said was he was one of the smartest quarterbacks that they've seen. His decision making, his poise, uh, and we'll give the guy credit. As small as he is, he didn't get hurt last year. Like as
Yeah.
as
Yeah.
vulnerable and as brittle as he seems, he does not get hurt. He protects himself. This team has made a few moves. Obviously, Brian Burns leaving sucks, but I'm playing them a little bit to win the division. There is a path for them this year. Last year, no way, but there is a path for them this year. I think their total for wins is sitting at 4.5. I mean, I've got them at 6. Like I've got them at 6. Like, how do we not play the over? I mean, we're a Saints, Bucks, and Falcons victory away from, and we're a 2 wins away. So, I mean, I just don't see how we don't play that. But don't donate on the Super Bowl odds. I mean, this team, they don't have any
nothing.
weapons to win a playoff
Nah.
game, but they can sneak out some regular season wins by, I mean, we've seen it last year. Like, I know they were the only team to not be leading in the fourth quarter of a game the whole season. Their only win came off expiring clock, but they've got some pieces, dude. They truly have some pieces, and I'm curious to see Bryce Young kind of step up and be comfortable this year. As long as he stays healthy, they've got a shot, and that's all I can ask for. I mean, we've got question marks all over this lead, all over this division. Why not take a flyer on 11-1 in this shitty division, Donnell?
And you know what's, like I said, why not throw a flyer out there? If you threw a flyer out in the Texans last year, you want some money, right? And no one thought the Texans do anything, you know?
Exactly.
Now, here's what I will say. There's one thing about Jared, my man Jared. Y'all know what's that thing where you could pound the drum, where out in Carolina they pound the drum. I can see Jared right now in a Panthers uniform. He pounds the drum. I mean, he's been on them since last year, all throughout. He drove me fucking crazy last year. But here's what I will say: he's right in the money with this. And the only thing that I'm kind of deterring away from it is you basically your whole starting defense. You lost 3 linebackers, 3 corners, 2 safeties, and 2 outside linebackers. That whole defense is completely new. So I am a little hesitant when it comes to that. I understand that J.C. Horn is still there, so that helps a lot. Who was it? Shaq Thompson's still out there, so that helps him a little bit with some familiarity. But you're coming in with a new revamped defense, so that might take some, growing pains there. But you did revamp the O-line, and you needed that to help Bryce Young so much. Signing Damian Lewis, Robert Hunt. I mean, those boys are definitely going to protect Bryce Young better than the offensive lineman last year. They added Penny to help with the running game. Deontay Johnson, they traded from Pittsburgh to kind of go on the outside with Thielen and Mingo, and also Xavier Legette too, the drafted, the country boy, the boy that sounds every bit of country, every which way. So they got. I mean, they're going in the right direction, and these fans actually have some reason to be excited. I honestly see a complete overhaul in Bryce Young's season. I feel like he's going to go out, ball out. Maybe not to the, of course, top quarterback talks, but I do expect him to at least throw for 3,000 yards this year, at least.
Yeah, this team definitely has a shot.
Right, and I expect Adam Thielen not to be the 1,000-yard receiver on this team. There's some more help. So offensively, great job. Defensively, I'm a little nervous, but hey, prove me wrong.
Yeah, I mean, they drafted Jonathan Brooks. They got Chuba Hubbard.
They did.
Miles Sanders. Like they've got depth at running back, so we crossed that out. Deontay Johnson, and you said Xavier Legette. Like they have a solid receiver room. Nothing crazy, but solid.
Right.
Yep. Tight ends. Okay, that's kind of where we're like kind of drawing a question mark because like Tommy Tremble was supposed to be like some staple, and he's kind of like in and out dealing with injuries. So like, but the offensive line got a little bit better. They signed Jadeveon Clowney. They still got Shaq Thompson. J.C. Horn's no slouch. So they've got pieces, man. They've got some pieces this year. Like they have an opportunity to win a few games, and that's all we're asking. We're not asking much. We're asking for a few wins. Right. I mean, as crazy as that sounds, I know it's the NFL, and like you kind of got to be perfect to win games, but the Panthers have a couple playmakers, and that's all you can ask for. So 11-1, I will take it any day of the week, especially in a very poor division. So let's go Panthers.
And I'll say this too before we close out real quick. They did bring in Dave Canellis as a head coach, who is a QB guru, who helped Baker Mayfield in that 4,044-yard offense last year. So I feel like that's really going to help with Bryce Young's development as well.
Yeah, especially with Andy Dalton still in the quarterback room. Like, he's been around. Like,
Right.
he's one of the most poised guys. You don't see him get a little bit too over his head. Even when he makes a really good play, he's very controlled, low temper guy. So there's pieces to help him out. So I think there's no expectations this year for them. You know, like last year, obviously Bryce Young would be in the number one pick. Everybody was like, oh, let's see what he's got. So he's got all the pressure on his shoulders. Everybody knows the Panthers suck. So he's not going to come into this like, oh, I need to make the playoffs, because that's not what they're expecting. They just want to see progress. Anything is better than last year, truthfully. They're going to make progress sleepwalking this year. So, yeah, I'll take the flyer on them. But just quick recap, Donnell and I not really touching much in this division. We like the under on the Bucks a little bit. Saints a little bit for the worst record. Panthers, I'm taking the flyer for the divisional odds and the over for the win total. And Falcons, just not too much value. But the Falcons will be a fun team to watch.
Yes, most certainly.
They will be a fun team to watch. They've got a lot of pieces. It's just in the collective, do they come together and string some wins? Which I'm sure they do. They're expected to win 10, 11 games. That seems a little steep for me. That's why we're really not playing that. But that is going to be an interesting division to watch, because next thing you know, the Panthers are sitting in that 2 slot. They're going to, I'm telling y'all, the Panthers have a shot to win the division, as that crazy as that sounds. So, but we're not going to ramble on too much. The next episode you guys will be looking out for will be the AFC South. We got a lot to talk about there. So we will see you guys in the next one. Follow us on Twitter at @ShredTheSpread_. Follow us on TikTok at ShredTheSpread. Follow Dynell on Twitter at DYNEEZY. Dyneezy. Any last words for the listeners?
No, sir. You already said my last message. So same message as always, Knuckleheads. Tell your friends, tell everybody, spread the word, spread the podcast around. We are back for season 3. And like you said, follow me on X at Dyneezy.
All right, he said it best. It's officially football season, guys. Until next time, we'll see you.
Peace.